Joining us now is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, happy
Good
Valentine's
morning,
Day.
Dr. Batty. Good morning.
Yes, yes.
Good morning, Lady in Red.
Lady in Red.
From one lady in red to another.
You're loved. We're all loved.
We are.
Well, good morning to you, viewers, and happy Valentine's Day. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In the United States, an upcoming memoir by the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, which is reportedly set to publicly spill all on his relationship with his estranged family, according to Harry's close friends, will shake the monarchy to its very core. The explosive $20 million memoir, due to be published later this year, was written in collaboration with Pulitzer Prize winner J.R. Moringa. In Italy, Pope Francis on Sunday led crowds at St. Peter's Square in silent prayer for Ukraine, appealing to the conscience of politicians to seek peace. The pontiff's prayers came a day after U.S. President Joe Biden told Russia's President Vladimir Putin that the West would respond decisively to any invasion of Ukraine. Under sports, speed skating Olympic champion Erin Jackson made history on Sunday by becoming the first black woman to win an individual gold medal in speed skating at the Winter Olympics since 1994. The 29-year-old former inline skater made the U.S. team for the Olympics in 2018 after only 4 months on the ice. And three-time African defending champions Nigeria's D Tigers beat Mali 73-69 on Sunday to qualify for the 2022 FIBA Women's World Cup, slated for Sydney, Australia in September. Finally, under entertainment, 9-time Grammy winner Mary J. Blige, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, and Eminem took to the stage on Sunday at the Super Bowl halftime show. Mary J. Blige performed her iconic hit song, Family Affair, while Eminem dramatically took a knee at the end of his rendition of Lose Yourself in an apparent tribute to former San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who took a knee during the national anthem to protest police brutality.
Well, let's begin what's trending with reactions trailing the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, who on Sunday accused the government of Canada of double standards in their handling of the truckers' protest against COVID-19 restrictions in the country. Lai Mohammed at a press briefing said the Canadian government branded protesters as insurrectionists, but chose to support NSAS protesters in Nigeria. Well, let's take a quick listen to the minister before we come back for a discussion.
During the NSAS protests, which culminated in the blockage of public roads and massive destruction of government and private property, Canada was one of the countries that spoke out in support of the protesters. Recall also that Twitter actively supported the NSAS protesters and even raised funds, while GoFundMe was used to raise funds for the protesters. These are the same entities that are now rushing to distance themselves from the protests in Canada and even denying them the use of their platforms. This is similar to what played out during the January 6, 2021 insurrection at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., where those involved are either still being investigated or have been charged to court. I don't blame them. Nobody wants their country destroyed under the guise of protests.
Well, Tundu Abiola, the minister, has come again under fire for these comments because, I mean, there is no comparison. Legitimately, there is no comparison because the NSAS protesters were peaceful protesters and these were insurrectionists, especially the January 6th insurrection. I don't know how you can compare that.
You'll recall that they actually threatened physical violence, didn't they, on the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau?
Yes.
The NSAS protesters never threatened any government official. It was about police brutality. So yes, I agree with you, it's a false equivalent. But you know, the Indian press also feels the same way about Justin Trudeau. I've read articles from the Indian press talking about how when the Indian farmers were protesting in India, Justin Trudeau was using that to get votes with the Indian, demographic in Canada, speaking against Narendra Modi, and Narendra Modi has never described the Indian farmers' protests as, insurrectionists. He's never used threats against them. So they also feel that this is hypocritical of Justin Trudeau. And just an exemption, we talk about American exceptionalism. What I'm hearing here is from Lai Mohammed and some members of the Indian press. They feel that this is also Canadian exceptionalism, that it's okay for us to pretend to be this bastion of liberalism in your country, but in our country, it's a different standard. But I do want to stress the issue of police brutality cannot be compared to this vaccine mandate. And to do so, I think really minimizes what that NSAS protest was about, and I think that's regrettable. The issue of police brutality is so fundamental. People were literally trying to fight for their lives, their very lives, because police officers were being accused of just summary executions. They were being accused of all kinds of horrors. We saw those judicial panels all over the country. We heard the testimony. So I don't want that trivialized or minimized in any way compared to this freedom convoy, they call it, no. And also, the Canadian government got an injunction on Friday, which they did not use for 2 days because they were just trying to continue the path of dialogue. The Canadian government also did not even use tear gas, as was seen in France.
Absolutely.
So they were very restrained, quite frankly. So, no.
Right. Well, let's move over to another story. Well, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has come under fire on social media for saying that there is no provision for zoning political offices in Nigeria's constitution and that leadership is endowed by God. The chieftain of the People's Democratic Party spoke at a meeting with a group calling on him to run for president in 2023. Atiku, who is yet to officially join the 2023 presidential race, said the country's challenges makes him wonder if he should contest for office. Well, let's take some reactions. Well, this is from Asuku, who wrote, Atiku is a politician. He's right about the Constitution. Southeast should find their way around. Since they say it's PDP for them or nothing, I ask again, Igbos, what has PDP done for the Southeast? Well, Ataigan wrote, that's half-truth, sir. No zoning in the Constitution, yes. Anyone can contest to be president, yes. But that rotation between the north and south of Nigeria had been a gentleman's agreement. Don't try to shift the pole because of self-interest. Dr. Bati, over to you.
Okay, well, let's start with what Vice President Atiku Abubakar purportedly said, that there's no zoning in the Constitution. Well, yes, the Constitution of Nigeria 1999 does not expressly use the word zoning. But when you look at the Constitution, it has what is called the letter and spirit of the Constitution. And in terms of the letter and spirit of the Constitution, certain key sections of that Constitution talk invariably about the same ideals behind zoning or rotational presidency as proposed. Let me start with that. If we look at Section 14, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution, it talks about the idea of federal character. That again is repeated in Section 43. It is again repeated in Section 175, subsection 5. That same Constitution creates what it calls or establishes what it calls a Federal Character Commission in Section 153C, and also further in Part 1C of the third schedule. Now, if you put all of these sections of the Constitution together, what are all these sections? Because you don't read the Constitution in isolation, you read it conjunctively. What it is upholding is that for people to have a sense of belonging in Nigeria, a sense of ownership, and to promote national loyalty, to promote national unity, Nigeria should be governed by the principles of fairness, justice, and equity.
Yes.
And that, positions in government should be representative. No one part of the country should dominate the other part of the country. So that's what the Constitution says. Now, if you look at it again, there's nowhere again that the Constitution says zoning and rotational presidency is sinful or is unconstitutional or it is illegal. So just to put that to rest, that talk about what the Constitution says. The other point to note is that in 2010, there was a group called Northern Political Leaders Forum. Now, that Northern Political Leaders Forum at that time, of which former Vice President Atiku Abubakar was a member, there were other prominent Northerners there, in fact, publicly supported the idea of zoning. And some of the prominent members of that Northern Political Leaders Forum who supported zoning and rotational presidency in 2010, who at that time, in fact, are saying the same thing that Ohaneze Ndigbo, Afenifere, and Sada Hamidu Forum are saying, to the effect that, oh, if we did not adopt the principle of zoning, it will have significant consequences. I'm quoting them now. Significant consequences for the stability of the polity. But now, in 2022, because it is so convenient in Nigeria to sound like a hypocrite, you know, some of these same persons are now saying, no, there's nothing called zoning. So why was it good in 2010?
Absolutely.
And it is no longer good in 2022. But that's what you get in Nigeria. You know, in an ideal situation, if you look at other jurisdictions, they don't do zoning. It doesn't matter where you come from. Was it Clinton that had the vice president that came from the same place with him? Or was it, you know. But here in Nigeria and in many parts of Africa, what we're doing is what is called turn-by-turn democracy. If it is even turn by turn, if it is not, it is my turn to eat. Democracy, as Michelle Arong, you know, has said on the book on corruption in Kenya, our turn to eat. So that's what the problem is. We hope that Nigeria will get to an ideal level someday where meritocracy will drive every process and we will not have to be jostling among ourselves over 400 ethnic nationalities in the struggle for the proverbial national cake. But we're not there yet. And as the society evolves, we can't keep changing the goalposts. Other people must have a sense of belonging. They must have a sense of ownership. And it's because people are alienated, marginalized, maltreated. Igbos will say the civil war has not ended in the eyes of some Nigerians. So people feel irritated, and hence they will be calling for restructuring, they will be calling for secession, they will be calling for all kinds of republics out of Nigeria. Whoever is going to lead Nigeria or manage this process must be more committed to those ideals of national unity, sense of belonging, of ownership. Even someone like you, that should include women too.
Yes,
it should include young people,
marginalized.
everybody, beyond ethnicity.
Yes, absolutely.
No matter your station, no matter your gender, you should be able to aspire to the highest level in Nigeria and be given the opportunity and the support to do so.
I can't wait to call Nigeria's president, Tundu Abiola.
Madam President.
That sounds nice.
I'm not going into politics. But you asked a question. You were saying that why has sort of the tune changed? Was that a rhetorical question, or do you need me to answer your question?
No,
because I have an answer.
I don't know. I want to answer,
always when is the turn of the South that tune will change. Zoning is, upheld to the letter when it's the turn of the North. It's when it's our turn that you start to hear silly excuses. Apart from the Constitution, you also have PDP's constitution, the party's constitution, Article 7, subsection 3C, talking about zoning. And this is that point that Dave Umahi was making when he decamped to APC, saying PDP has done nothing for the Southeast, in spite of how loyal the Southeast has been to PDP. Now, whether that was self-centered or not, I'm separating the motives from the veracity. The man is making a point here. And if we're going to also talk about a precedent that was established before the 1999 elections, when Dr. Ogbonna Onu stepped down, he was presidential candidate for APP. He stepped down because it was the turn of the Southwest, so he sacrificed his presidential ambition for the greater good. I don't know why that example cannot be followed. I don't know why the PDP and just generally a lot of other parties continue to marginalize the Southeast. With the PDP, it looks to me as if, Igbos, you can be a vice presidential candidate, but not the main job. You will be the bridesmaid, never the bride. That is actually extremely patronizing. Are people supposed to be grateful for that? And unfortunately, too many are pathetically grateful for that. Why be satisfied with the number 2 job when you are qualified, abundantly qualified for the number 1 job? But this is a serious problem we face in this country. We always talk about 1999 and the Southwest has to be appeased, but let's not forget what that appeasement was about, because a man died. A man literally had to die before the South got a look in. This is the constant messaging that we have been given. Somebody has to literally die to be killed before you, the South, can be president. It's ridiculous. If we really are supposed to be a united country, it needs to end, and it needs to end now.
Very well said, Tunde Abiola. We'll take another story. The governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel, in a radio interview over the weekend, said that he has been taken to court by witches for building a Christian worship center in the state. Well, the multi-billion naira worship center, which is ongoing in Uyo, the state's capital, has been criticized by many who say the money budgeted for the church could have been used to tackle other crucial needs. In the oil-rich state, the governor claimed that it is necessary for Akwa Ibom, as a state named after God, to build a temple for God. The governor also claimed that he had won the lawsuit instituted against him and the federal government by the witches and wizards. They have, however, appealed the case. Well, according to Nigeria's criminal law, it is an offense to accuse any person of being a witch. I mean, this story cracked me up. But when I saw the church, I was amazed. I mean, look at that monument. What is it for? I am sorry, Tunde Abiola.
I think this is awful. We have philanthropists all over the country, even have Muslim philanthropists who build churches and donate churches. This should be, the brainchild of an individual. If the governor was so serious about having this temple to God, I think that's beautiful and God will reward him, but he should do that out of his own pocket,
yes,
not state funds that could be used, I don't know, health, education, infrastructure, for crying out loud. This is not something you use state funds to do. And I also think it's most regrettable to use pejoratives against people who don't agree with you. Somebody does not agree with a course of action you have taken. They decide to institute an action in court, and you're calling them a witch and a wizard. Why? They don't have to be a bad person just because they don't agree with you. You don't need to demonize people. It's okay to have, dissent amongst us. It's really fine. And then they've done the civilized thing by going to court. They haven't, gone and attacked the building. So I think the governor, too, should keep it civilized and refrain from calling people names.
Witches. Dr. Abati.
What are the issues here, in my view? In 2019, the governor of Akwa Ibom State decided he wanted to build a monument unto God, like King Solomon, right? Mm-hmm. And, people opposed it. He said, no, this is a state that is named after God. So, in a sense, it seemed as if he was projecting his own personal beliefs onto the rest of the state. And he decided to use state resources to embark on that project. Now, a group called the Atheist Society of Nigeria decided to take the state government to court. Now, they lost in the court of first instance, and they were fined 500,000 naira. Then they went on appeal, and that was what the governor was referring to when he said he wanted to celebrate God on behalf of the people of Akwa Ibom, but that some witches took him to court. Now, the Constitution of Nigeria, Section 10 thereof, says there shall be no state religion.
Yes.
There's that argument whether, that Section 10 declares Nigeria a secular state or not. But the point that has been made over the years is that keep your religion to yourself. Don't use state resources to promote religion. And that was the basis of that whole argument about state governments using state resources to send people on pilgrimage. And in Akwa Ibom says, people are saying, instead of this white elephant project that you say is a celebration of God, why don't you put this money in education, in health, in things that can affect the people directly? So that's the first part of it. Now, the governor calling people a witchcraft. Some people say, well, witchcraft is not an issue under Nigerian jurisprudence. No, it is an issue. You can be penalized for admitting that you are a witch, or by calling other people witches. That's the position in the Oshinaike versus the state, and in Honre versus the state, and Crown versus Kukumba. So the governor may be guilty of defamation, because if you go about calling people witches and wizards, you may be committing a felony.
Absolutely.
Specifically, Section 210 of the Criminal Code, Section 216 of the Penal Code, and the whole of that sections 210 to 214, of the Criminal Code, dealing with religion and worship. However, in Akwa Ibom State, there have been cases of people being labeled witchcraft, people being killed because somebody just wakes up and he says, oh, this person is a witch, and this person has to be eliminated. No, the laws of Nigeria do not allow you to label people witches and to do them harm and turn around and say that's a defense. Witchcraft is not a defense under criminal law in Nigeria. So the governor should be careful. I don't know what his background is, but he should just be reminded about some of these points that we have raised.
Absolutely. We shall take our final story in Ghana. A short clip of a 2018 BBC feature on 3 villages named after the male and female genital organs resurfaced on social media over the weekend and has gone viral. In the short clip, the BBC reporter Thomas Nadi interviewed some villagers to uncover the origin of the names, some of which include vagina is wise and testicles are sad. Let's take a look.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. It's an uncomfortable feeling trying to ask for directions to the villages because of the names. I've just spotted a young man ahead. I'll try and then find out from him how we can get to the village.
Testicles are sad villages around the Pratt River area. The next village is Penis is a Fool, and then Wise Vagina Village. It is a very nice place.
Our ancestors named the villages. They were 3 brothers. One of them married a lady and neglected his brothers. Later, the lady deceived him and took over all of his possessions. He returned to his brothers. So, he named the place he settled Wise Vagina Village. The brothers named theirs Penis is Stupid and Testicles are Pathetic. It is to remind the next generation to be careful about some ladies.
Penis is a fool and testicles are pathetic are okay. But for Wise Vagina, it's quite embarrassing to mention it. But we have nowhere to go, so we will take it like that.
Poor lady, they have nowhere. I can't hold myself, Dr. Abati, please. Over to you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I imagine that you are waiting for what I was saying.
Yes, we are.
No. I'll come from the angle of anthropology.
Okay.
Which is that in Africa, names have meaning.
Yeah.
It's not like when you see some names from some parts of the world and you are wondering where this name is coming from. So we have a naming system in Africa that is tied to history, that is tied to the people's experience, their worldview, their anthropology. And you see the gentleman there who was trying to explain the genesis of those names.
Yeah.
About family relationships, about a woman who outsmarted the husband, and that's the source of the wisdom. Well, whether if you want to subject it to morality, what she did makes sense or not, but because of that, they say, oh, vagina is wise. Then the kinsmen whose brothers suffered, they say, oh, testicles are sad, because they thought that their brother had been shortchanged from that anthropological detail. And then the other man who went to settle down somewhere, they said penis is a fool. And if you look at it today, this is about relationships. You know, many men who have suffered in the hands of women, one way or the other, yes, they will be considered fools, by the community. And of course, others will learn from it. Absolutely. And the woman will look like she's smarter. There is a book on it.
Okay.
Chinwenzu. It was Chinwenzu who wrote the book, The Anatomy of Female Power.
Oh, goodness.
And this is precisely, the kind of scenario that we have had in the naming system that is presented to us here from Ghana. But the more important thing is that those names have been adopted so that future generations can learn from this history.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Look at the names now. We have had a story about the origin. And I hope those listening to the story will also learn. Otherwise, as a man, you end up appearing very foolish.
Well, I hope not. Dr. Bati, thank you very much. I can't hold myself. Thank you. Sorry. That's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today, and happy Valentine's Day again. I'll see you tomorrow.